How important is studying oneself, or why would it be essential to study oneself in order to have transformation in life or business, moving from a setback towards your legacy?
It's so essential to the degree that everywhere I go, I talk about it, my hope and my vision that studying oneself is actually part of every bachelor and master's degree because we study a subject, but we never study us as the creators of our life. So the importance is rooted in the understanding I found myself in this setback, although it happened to me, but
Mhm.
I found myself in this setback because in some shape or form, I was also the cause of it.
Welcome, fellow entrepreneurs and goal getters, to Entrepreneurial Elevation, Unleashing Greatness Within, with myself, your host, Kelly Beveridge, and my special guest today, Irene Riad. She is born and raised in Saudi Arabia, living in Albania, and I'm just really excited to have her here. She has a special story and message that we're going to discuss. She is the founder of SightCET, the Institute of Authentic Leadership Culture. She's an inspirational speaker, executive coach, a certified complex trauma recovery coach, and a brand new author with a book coming out in March. Really looking forward to reading it and getting it. It's called Radical Becoming. She's co-authored it with Brian Tracy, which is really cool. And today on the episode, we're going to talk about one of her main purposes, which is to inspire leaders with life significant setbacks to live their legacy through their work. And this is exactly what she's done and how she's showing up in her life. She has a very special and courageous story and journey that we're going to talk about and weave some life lessons and business lessons throughout. And so just Irene, welcome and thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much, Kelly. So happy to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. And we've been talking back and forth, and I just love you and your energy. And you do have a very courageous story. And I'm excited to talk to you about it today because I just think not comparing our journeys to others, but so many people have things in life that can be considered a massive setback. And it is a skill set and a mindset to be able to move through it and still choose to live a joyous life when we have these real things going on for us. And so maybe you can come on and you can share your story and just what was the significant setback that happened within your life. And then we can talk about how you've chosen to move through it and what you're doing now.
Absolutely. My life's work is actually going back and looking at my life and dissecting it in a way, putting it in a frame that I would be able then to serve with it rather than let it swallow me. And it had in the past. So happy to share a bit more. So yes, my life setback or the story, if I put it in a very small phrase, I would say it's going from loss to legacy. And the loss that I went through is a deep loss on different layers. It was during a time in my life when I was going through a very difficult divorce, which is a setback all on its own. But the biggest kind of hit that I got through life was that divorce. After it had gone through, there was a bit of retaliation where I would not be able to be with my son, who was at that time 5 years old. So he was taken away from me and I lost all contact with him for at least 3 years until I found him again. Because again, there are details of I was in another country. I was not in my home country. So I had to leave the country. And that's why I lost that contact until I was able to come back to the country where he was in and look for him. And then because I was bound by certain laws of where he was, I could not have contact with him other than through the law of getting visitation. But even when I was able to get visitation rights, there's always loopholes that if somebody is not having the intention to have this relationship there, which that was the decision of the father, it could be used. So the loopholes did not really allow me to see my son consistently every week, at least a couple of hours. And so at the age of 9, which is a law also in some countries, a son, because it's different for a girl, a son at the age of 9 can request legally to totally disconnect and not be in touch with his mother. And although I know, again, one of those loopholes, if there was a bad mother or a bad father, or in a sense, bad again is subjective, but if there was really a reason for that, okay, laws could still support. But in this case, again, it was used maliciously to force my son because he was 9, was close to 9, really would not understand why he was being asked to go and request this, but he did it. And that whole dynamic, although I talk about it like that dynamic was maybe even that very first hit of losing contact was a deeper layer after divorce. Finding him again, getting visitation was maybe a little bit of light. And then I get a third kind of hit, which really, that was really devastating because to hear it, because I had to be in the court with him, he has to say it. And then it was documented. And from 9 years old, legally, I would not be allowed whatsoever to try and reach out. Because I used to do other things, like go to school, go to church, like I would just connect from far. But that's what happened. And there was another big blow because there was like a lot of blows, but that's
Mm.
why I say setbacks, they are not good in the time. And obviously I went through my own grief and my own working through shame and my own renewal of identity. I went through all the deepest nights of the soul, as they said. But then what that has allowed me to do is to really get down to who am I? What am I here to do? If I'm a mother, but I have no son with me, connected, I lost my job because I couldn't think, I couldn't work through what was happening on a personal level. So I had to really take a little bit of a time off from work. But then I'll pause because then life does get better. But there are times in life when you feel what is going on. You step from one thing to another and it seems endless. And I want to say to people who are going through something like that, whether it is similar to mine or totally different, any type of hardship, that I see you and I hear you and I care. And there are people who care, and stay strong because it does get better. It's not, this is what now I can say it does get better. But at the time, yes, I know I couldn't see anything, but I want to tell people there is always hope and it does get better.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for sharing that. And I can only imagine, like you said, that's years of traumatic setbacks, right? Around something that is so impactful and meaningful when you're not able to see your son. And I'm just curious because you said it does get better. And I know that we're fast forwarding, like you shared, even going through a divorce can be a very traumatic setback. And then you're not able to see your son when all you're wanting to do is be a phenomenal mother to him, and you go through those years. When was the moment where you possibly had a spark or a shift or just an aha, for lack of better words, of, hey, wait a minute, like I'm still here, I still matter. It's time to pick myself up and put one foot in front of the other.
Yes, I dug through that timeline going back when I was looking at what has actually allowed me to start to see any signs of hope. And I must say, it's the environment I put myself in when I was at my deepest. So I am blessed to have parents who were there at the time when the divorce happened and the retaliation came with son being taken away, and then I had to leave the country. There was, if I did not have a place, a friend, a relative, a family. In my case, it was my parents and my sister. That would have been very tough. I would have not known where to go when things are new. So I would say relationship, even if it wasn't external, if it's a coach, a therapist, now I know that when you're at your deepest, I wanted to just lock myself in my room, talk
Mm.
to nobody. And I did that, lock myself in my room. But I had people knocking on my door who would not leave me and bring food. My mother, bless her, would bring food at the bed. And there were times where I just didn't want any of that. But it was having another person just sit and do nothing, even if it is just to wallow in the suffering
Mm.
with you. And it was the surrounding that I would say started just to make me see that there is good in the world. It's not all black. I see my parents, I see my sister, I saw people who came and visited. It started to shift in my mind because I was also trying to think, I'm a reflective by nature. So it did help that I was trying to work out, how did I get to this? So I think reflecting on seeing some flags that I did not see before come to the surface. But a relationship of any kind is very important. And then I was asking a question all the time in my head. What does this all mean?
Mm.
What does this all mean? Because I couldn't figure out, why would it happen to someone who is actually very humbly saying, I'm trying to be a good mother. I have no bad intentions. There were things that I couldn't figure out. Why would bad things happen to good people?
Mhm.
And that question sits with me. And it's now I see things differently. We can go into it for the why this happened to me. It's a very fair question,
Mhm.
but I was looking at it from a sense to understand, not to be victimizing myself. Why did it happen to me? But I just couldn't wrap my head as to why this was happening. And so there is a part that is also, I would say, spiritual. There is a knowing that I received. Can't say that I had it because I don't know where I got it from, but
Mhm.
it's just sitting in silence a lot in these dark times and just the question of, why would this be happening? How did I end up here? And I allowed myself to hear because I had to hear something different. I couldn't hear logic. There was no logic. So opening myself a bit, allowing in the chaos of things to start to hear something different because I was looking for something different. So that openness, which I find so paradoxical sometimes to explain, in my deepest, I was still open to hear something because I wanted to know why. So that and having another soul, another human who cares, I think both of them started to give me that oomph, like there's more to this. This is not the end. There's more coming. I need to get ready.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love that you asked yourself that question. What does this all mean? Did you discover the answer?
I discovered part of it while I was there, and it dropped through something my dad said to me.
Hmm. And
And
what
yeah, it was one of those days he came in and I was in my room. I stayed in my room so long. I read lots of books. But that's also another thing I was just reading. He came and sat in silence and he said to me, your name, Irene, is how they pronounce it in Egypt. I'm from Egypt originally. Your name, Irene, Pavsi, is another word that is sometimes added, means peace upon you,
Mm.
peace with you. So he sat with, and I had no clue why he would be talking about that right now. I'm in this middle of, I thought my dad was going to come and say why this happened, he was going to tell me advice, but all he did, he held my hand and he said, your name means Irene Pavsi, peace within you, peace with you. It's a Coptic translation. And then he said, whatever happens outside of you, don't ever let the peace inside of you go away. Keep it anchored. And at that time, I was like, what peace? are you talking about? In my mind, I was like, there's turmoil here. I can't find my son. He is suffering. I was also concerned that I put him in a situation where he can't find his mom. I was taking the blame of what was done to me. But he said those few words. I teared because I didn't know what response would go with that. I just teared, and he then laughed. He gave me a hug. And then just the word peace. My name means peace. And I believe that our names do have some symbolism for why we are here and what to do. But I knew that having peace or spreading peace had to do with it. And I then just heard a whisper as if somebody was talking to me saying, go in peace and serve others. And it came out of nowhere, like, peace, go in peace and serve others. At a time where I felt I needed to be served or I needed some service to get on my feet. Like I was talking in my mind, I was asking God, I'm being asked to go in peace, bring peace and serve others. Okay, how do I do that? And I knew that was part of it. And at that time, it was another kind of signal was peace needs power. Please give me some power. That was where I started to put two pieces together. I have peace. I can bring peace. I will try and work on my peace, but I need power to do this because right now I feel powerless, helpless, and I have no direction except trying to get back on my feet, wanting to get connected with my son, and be ready. There was another thing, being ready. So if I were to move with peace, and I thought, okay, so I need power, I need some energy, I need power, guidance. For what? To get ready. Ready for what? I believed this happened for whatever reason. It happened, but it's not the end. And I will see my son again, and I will start the connection again. And at some point, I don't know when, we'll be back together again. So I need to get ready physically, mentally, financially, professionally. I knew that I needed to work on myself. I needed to get ready.
Hey everyone, I'm just hopping on quick to let you know I have partnered with my sponsors, Coach Core, because I want to promote their services because they've had such an impact and positive influence within my business. And I want everyone to know about their service and what's available to you. So if you're an entrepreneur and a business person who's been wanting to streamline your back end systems, you're going to want to listen up. And so I don't know about you, but I was frustrated because as I started my business, I was realizing, oh my gosh, I need to be paying money for my website. I've got to have my calendar and scheduling going on. I've got to be paying for online course systems. I want my landing pages and my funnels and so on and so on and so on. And it was overwhelming and expensive. And so I found Coach Core, and I am so impressed with their business and their values. And I've just aligned with them. And what they are is I think of them as a simple business in a box, a one-stop shop for everything that you need to grow and scale your business when it comes to your systems and being organized and the back end pieces of your business. And so if you're wanting to streamline and have everything in place from your website to your contacts to numerous SMS to social media all being housed under one calendar, to your funnels, to your landing pages, online courses, and so on. Plus, the bonus is you get hands-on support a couple times a week. Somebody will come on and you can actually talk to a real person and you can get your questions answered. You can get guidance around the systems. You can get support with marketing and strategies and business. And it really feels like a community while you're getting system support. And the best part is that it's extremely affordable at $97 a month, 97 US dollars. You can have all of that in one spot. And so go into my show notes and check it out. Check out Coach Core Services. Email me if you have questions, email Coach Core, and get your business organized and streamlined and your system set up so you can focus on building your business and giving your time and attention where it needs to go and scale your business to success. And so just thanks, Coach Core, for being there for me And check them out, everybody. Okay, let's get back to the episode.
Yeah.
Hmm. Wow, that's so amazing. You're saying so many great things because I think sometimes when we're going through setbacks, it's not so easy to see the way. But I love how you shared, like, ask yourself questions because that's really important and be open, right? You said be open to the answers. And then your dad comes in and shares this and you heard it, right? You heard it in a way that served you and then to get ready. And so, what did you do next? Because if we're speaking about taking your setbacks to find your purpose and how to turn that into what you choose to do for your life's work, I know you came into coaching. And when you and I talked previously, you shared how coaching really became a healing journey for you while you were of service to other people. So, can you talk about that transition?
Absolutely. So at the time, I was working in the corporate world and I held roles that always had to do with development, training, development, and it had some coaching. And I had started my professional coaching journey, but it wasn't yet to the level where I'd coached people and venture off as a coach altogether. So at that time, I realized for me to get back on my feet and to start to enjoy what I do or start to earn more, that I needed to strengthen my coaching skill set, mindset, because I knew that was already professionally, I realized that was a place that I enjoyed the most.
Mm.
And for me to do that, I felt therapy and medical treatment and all that wasn't on my mind for some reason. I just never, although my dad is a doctor, my brother's medical doctors, I have doctors all over in the family. For some reason, it wasn't part of my understanding of getting up on my feet and getting power. And potentially because I was already doing some coaching, I realized that the coaching world allowed me to think. So in the coaching programs that I had done, the very little ones that I had done, I was already looking at my emotions because in coaching, we learn how to listen more to our emotional being as a body, how to listen to our thoughts and the emotions or the feelings that we start to attribute them. It just made sense that if I was going to find something I love to do and it is coaching, then how could I help myself first get much better at emotional coaching, cultural coaching? And so it's as if just the thought of how could I support people to know more about themselves and to bring that through coaching, I started digging. So I took emotional intelligence coaching degrees. I've done 2 years of looking at the emotions within and how we actually process them. And I was learning as a coach because I heard the message go and serve others. And okay, I want to coach more people, but I realized I was being served by my own studying of coaching to actually heal and evolve and not things that I didn't want to touch because I was still grieving and I was still held shame. So the coaching world, uh, receiving coaching, studying the coaching, giving the coaching, they all helped me study myself, test how I'm actually
That's
resonating with the material with others and help others. And it was the dimensions of emotional coaching, cultural coaching, mindset coaching, which came later because I realized, okay, now I understood my emotions, but I couldn't necessarily shift immediately into a new mindset. And that's what I talk about even when with my clients, when we go on looking at how to move from a setback to actually finding purpose, noticing where you enjoy creative work. What kind of creative work you like to do, you create. And that may take a few questions around looking at as you were growing up as a child, what are the kind of things you like to do? And then as an adult, and then pastime, what do you do when you have all the time in the world? What would you like to? So a few questions, what would give your life meaning if you look 10 years ahead? just a few questions could help us start to see how a setback and a challenge has given us actually the ability to work through things that are either deeply hidden or difficult for us. And
Mm.
that's an opportunity for us to start to look at the emotional, cultural side of these elements that we've had to struggle to uncover.
Mm-hmm. No, you know what? Everything you're sharing is so great. And I'm just curious because you chose to transition into coaching, and I'm a coach as well. And I do agree and believe that we can really only give and coach others as much as we're willing to work on ourselves. And that being said, though, a lot of people who go through setbacks, they don't choose to maybe go into a career path where that's available to them. So I'm just curious what you would share. How important is studying oneself, or why would it be essential to study oneself in order to have transformation in life or business, moving from a setback into towards your legacy?
It's so essential to the degree that everywhere I go, I talk about it, my hope and my vision that studying oneself is actually part of every bachelor and master's degree, because we study a subject, but we never study us as the creators of our life. So the importance is rooted in the understanding I found myself in this setback, although it happened to me, but
Mhm,
I found myself in this setback because in some shape or form, I was also the cause of it. It's a bit difficult to wrap our head around. Not that I caused or intended to be away from my son, but this certain way of my thinking up until I got married to that person has led me down a road that I was not aware of until things got really bad and I couldn't just not see it anymore.
mm,
So if I had studied myself, I had understood myself, my thought, my feelings towards that person, my choice of that person, or the decisions that I had to make leading up to my divorce. And so if I understood what was going inside me, and that comes from studying our upbringing, studying our cultural beliefs and values, studying our needs that were not met. And so when we do this study, we realize, okay, the setback happened to us. Like when trauma and traumatic things happen to us, it's not that we caused that trauma to us, but there were certain circumstances that potentially, if I thought differently way earlier, they would have not happened. If I was in a different location, way, or if I had chosen a different uh, friend group, for example,
mhm,
if I could have noticed the way I'm thinking, then setbacks may happen differently because we'll still have setbacks, but the kind of setback actually tells us a lot about who we are. And if we study ourselves early enough, which is why I advocate, if this can come in as early as like a degree, you graduate with a degree and you know who you are, then we're consciously choosing the thoughts that we bring in every day, the feelings that we want to feel, even when I am uncomfortable. I'm choosing to feel a certain way, how I pay attention to what is in front of me. And then we grow in our conscious awareness. We grow actually more confident and clear with what we want to do with our career, with our relationships, family decision, everything, business. So studying yourself, I think it's endless. It's not that we're going to figure out everything, but it's extremely essential, especially as we move forward in AI, technology advancements and automation. We start to notice, what do we want? What do we feel, need, and so forth.
mhm. And I know that you have some tools to support the study of oneself. And I'm not sure if this is one, but the last time we chatted, you talked about the Mosaic Integral Leadership. Can you maybe speak to that and how it supports forward progress and growth within self, or how it just relates to what we're talking about right now as a way to, and I know we don't have time to dive deep into it, yet maybe pull some of what that actually is and how it can maybe just help the listeners with a few tools or thoughts to be able to continue to forward progress when they've been through a setback.
Absolutely. And I talk a lot about it in my upcoming book, The Mosaic Integral Leadership System. I call it a system because it's a bunch of tools that if put together, then you at least have a way forward, and then you could pick and choose how you're going to design your way. So one of them, the M is the mind. It's the biggest one. It's where we start. And the mind here, I mean, recognizing the voices in your mind. And I talk about the mind from a psychological sense, and specifically Jungian psychology, if anybody particularly likes Carl Jung, because he introduced to us how to look at our mind, that we do have, it's not, and a lot of the voices of the ego are based out of fear versus the part of our mind, which goes a little bit more spiritual, that comes with voices that are more driven by love, intuition, dreams. So in the mosaic, if you at least pause, every time you're about to do something, there's a risk. If you feel like palpitation, the body is the second thing, but let's look at just the mind. The thoughts, catch the thoughts in your mind. They're not facts. And that's a big change for me as well. A thought is not a fact. A thought like, this is scary. This is selfish. This is great. I mean, these are thoughts. I want to do that. These are thoughts. And so if we catch our thoughts as an observer, I am not my mind. I am something larger. And I say we are a soul in essence, manifesting in a body. I'm in a vessel. I have a mind. Like I have a bag, I have a computer, I have a mind. Now, this mind is a compilation of a lot of the teachings of my upbringing. Because who put thoughts in my mind? School system, countries I've lived in, friends, family. So the biggest asset every person has is noticing how the mind is actually driving them forward or holding them back, and noticing those voices and calling out the tone of the voice even.
Mm.
So that's, the mind is a big one. And the other ones are the body, the soul, their alignment, the identity of yourself, and community. And those are just the mosaic acronym. The O means operating system, body for short. So you have the mind says something to your body, your operating system is reacting. Emotions are here, nervous system. So we need to understand what is an emotion. That again, it's not you. You have an emotion, so you have authority over it when you choose to, and if you're willing to work with yourself.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Thank you for explaining that. And I know you shared that the Mosaic Integral Leadership System is a big part of your book, Radical Becoming. And so I'm just curious, when it comes to your book, you named it Becoming, but what does that even mean to you? What does that mean, radical becoming?
Oh, I think this is life of my life. And I think it's the story of every life, because I believe that we're here on earth, and we're here on earth for a purpose. And we really embody this purpose by becoming more aware of who we are. And this radical bit means that it's going to take radical, courageous steps that actually go against the tradition and the norm, so that you're able to fully express why you're here and do the work that you're here to do. And that maybe also the word radical, because I tie into it your hardship, your setbacks, your challenges are a great, let's say, vessel, a great place to look from, because there is light in it if we choose to start to look for it. There's
Mhm.
light in it that will help us to become that person and find our purpose, not to discard it away. It doesn't hold you back. It's only holding you back if you don't wish to look at it and look and find that light. But if you're open, if you're courageous, have that radical thinking that there is my purpose is through, it has to do with the challenge, has to do with that setback, then you really accelerate your becoming process. You really reach that clarity much quicker. And you, that person that you're
Yeah.
looking for.
Such a great message. And I'm curious if you're open to sharing, where is your life at now, Irene? So, speaking of radical becoming, you've had this huge transformation and shedding probably a bit of your old identity, embracing where you're at now. And so, what does your life look like today? I know you have a family again, and I believe you're still holding out hope that you're going to reconnect with your son. Do you mind just sharing where things are at now?
Yeah, so where am I at now? First of all, I do have another family, so I was able to marry again. I actually did meet the person. I'm thankful that I've met him, love of my life, and fingers crossed things move forward. Blessings. And I do have a younger son, so he's also 6 years old. So I'm living or reliving that time again with another son. And I think this is a special time for me because I am now entering, since he was 5 and 6 and moving forward, I'm actually entering a phase where I'm enjoying to notice what's happening with me because I was not able to be with my first son during those years. But I'm here in a more consciously aware and still evolving, and I'm becoming still more and more of the person I need to be. So I am in a thankfully better place. Now, my connection with oldest son, it's been now almost 21. He's 21 now. So it's been
Wow.
almost 20 years, since 21 years. No, my math is, it's been quite a lot of time since he was so 15 years. I don't know why
Mhm.
my math. So 15 years. I know that we are connected on a soul level. Physically, we've not met each other just yet. I do visit him every year, once or twice. He's now in the States, academically doing well. He's on the medical track. And what I could say here is that through the work that I've done with myself, getting myself in a place where I'm myself, forgiven my ex, living a life where I know this has happened for good reason, and understanding that this actually, whatever has happened, this separation is also good for my son. To reach that conclusion, it may sound so awkward to even say, because logically, how could a separation be good for my son? And it's, if I think on a human level, it's doesn't make sense. And still, if I put on if I'm speaking from my ego, this is, how could I say, it's shameful of me. If I really connect with my higher self, and I know that what has happened for a huge purpose, for my benefit and for my son's benefit, then I know that his life is going to have huge blessings. Because if you go through huge setbacks, your life is not a typical one. So I know, and I know deep down that his blessings and his path are huge. And for whatever reason, this had happened, but God is using it for a great purpose. I do not wish it for anybody, and I don't think he would wish it for anybody either. But if we hold on tight to knowing that our challenges and mine are giving me purpose, his challenges are giving him purpose, and his, I bet, are much larger than mine because it started so early for him. He was just 4, going on to 5 and reaching 5. There was already the chaos of the divorce. And so he's gone through turbulence very, very early. And if you're one of those people, then I think if you're open to it, willing to think radically different, that you've got great blessings and you've got great strength. And and I'm betting that you're here to serve the world in a much larger legacy than you could even think of. So I've reached that level of knowing without trying to understand the how and the why and the mechanics. I know it's there to bless him in the end because he is also my son and I know he is also spiritual, which I'm thankful for that through his journey, he's been able to keep his spiritual connection. And so that's what I say. If you're going through a setback and having gone through mine, there is great purpose in it and your legacy is going to shine through that.
Oh my gosh, what a beautiful, beautiful message, Irene. When as you're sitting there speaking, I'm just thinking to choose to have a belief that your challenges will bring about some of the biggest blessings of your life. What a wonderful belief to choose to have, right? When faced with unsurmountable challenges in our life and always easier once we're through it. Yet your story is just very inspiring and you are so courageous and you have radically created and become this beautiful person who's being of service and supporting others. I think that your message is really important because I believe everybody has setbacks in their life. And when we're in it, like I shared at the beginning, without comparing our lives to others, for ourselves, when we're going through it, it feels huge, right? It feels huge no matter what it is for each person. And so I just love your message and I love what you're doing. And so before we learn where we can find you, and I have a few last questions, you speak about legacy and you talked about how your story is from loss to legacy. What would you say is the legacy that you're now choosing to build and then leave behind? And what guidance would you give others to live theirs?
Yeah. So my legacy is one where I define a lot as one of peace, power, and prosperity. I see the three as key pillars that allow us to do great things in the world because one on its own can skew us in a way where we feel unable to really show up fully. So I hope to bring in peace where it's needed, power together with it, and to do it in a way where people actually feel they can prosper, whether that means financially, emotionally, spiritually. It frees them up to do the work that they're here to do. For people who are questioning, what is my legacy? Where do I start? An exercise I would recommend, and I did myself, is I took a piece of paper. I wrote out all the hardships I went through, each one.
Mm.
I went back. I've gone through, I've gone through wars. I've gone through so many relocations that some didn't work out well. I've gone through separate, all of it, all of it. I've just written it down. And I looked at it once and I said, wow, because I didn't realize. And when you look at all of that setback, maybe you might get a bit of sadness. Why did this happen to me? But the question that you're here, you're alive, you're here, you're most likely, you're a hardworking, diligent person. So you've got in you what got you through. So don't forget that. And it's noting then afterwards, gosh, I've gone through all of that. And then question is, what are you going to choose to do with all of it? You could choose to do nothing. That's also fine. But if you're looking for a legacy, what has all that I've gone through? I made a list. I made a huge list. And everybody has a big list. It's trying to see if there's any commonality and what got you through it. Even if it's little things, you'll start to see some commonality. For me, peace was central. I kept anchoring myself to this knowing that I'm connected to something. I went back to my just surrendering in a way. Maybe I misunderstood it earlier that it's helpless, but there's a fine line between surrender and knowing that things will work out, and things have worked out because I've gone through them. I've gone through hardship and I'm here. I can do something if I keep track of my thinking, understand my feeling, and use that mosaic tool set. I could really make a change moving forward. But then it's having that eagerness and intention to bring out a commonality from this hardship, and you'll realize that your life could be one around resilience, hope, rising from the ashes. Because once I've done that list also and figured out, I did ask myself a question of what would I look like if I had all the decisions now, and 10 years from now, what would I be doing? What would I
Mm.
love to with all this setback? Because your setbacks are your strengths.
Yeah.
They set you up for success. It's like when we say the journey of success is many failures. You've
Mhm.
got to fail to be successful. Not if I fail, I have to fail so that I could be successful. And setbacks are like the kind of failures, if we wish, if we want to. So they are the things that didn't go well from our perspective at the time. You had to have them to have a great life. But then on that journey, if I don't look at my failure as my setup for success, I'll see it failure. Now, with the same with legacy. If you're about looking at legacy, look at your setbacks. Now, if these setbacks are setups for you to really live in your legacy, what would it look like? Who would you be? Where is your surrounding? Get into that. And visualization is part of the work that we would do a lot. So use your visualization. As we know, neuroscience now, your mind doesn't know the reality from the imaginary. If you're going through a visualization, it thinks it's happening. So getting into that practice of visualizing the legacy of who you are, because you've got to be a legacy, a legend. You've got to be a legacy owner, a legacy driver, a legacy creator. So you've got to be also at that dream and responsibility and desire. You've got to lift up yourself too. And
Mhm.
then the legacy actually will happen.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for sharing all of that. It's just amazing. And I love that guidance and I love that advice. I know more people are going to want to know more about you and your journey and your story and get your book and learn from you. And so, where can people find you, Irene, if they wanted to reach out or just connect or start following you?
I would love to connect with anybody who's wanting to connect. I'm on LinkedIn with my full name, Irene Riad, as shown on the notes, and my website, www.sightcet.com. And the book that's coming out, radicalbecomingbook.com, will be shared as well. So in all of them, please connect either through a message or an Instagram page, SightCET with the same spelling.
Oh my gosh, awesome. And we will definitely put all of that information in the show notes. And I'm looking forward to reading your book and just reading your life story and learning from you. I've learned lots just from today. So thank you. And so, Irene, I have three last questions. So you've obviously been through a life's journey. What would you say today is your version of success?
My version of success is authentic alignment with my divine self.
Hmm. I love that. And what would you share to the listeners? What would be three tips you would give them to tap into their inner greatness?
3 tips.
Yeah, tips or guidance, or how can we call forth or unleash our inner greatness?
Number 1, believe truly, truly in your heart, in the soul of your soul, that you are enough just as you are. That belief, you are truly enough with all what you think is not good. You are even more than enough, but let's just get to you are enough with everything that you have, because that's where self doubt and shame and all the regrets start seeping in. So, number 1, your greatness is connected to you knowing that you're fully wholesome, unbroken. Sometimes I don't even like the word healing because it means that you're broken or something that needs to be fixed. So feeling that you're enough. The second tip is knowing that or finding the desire that keeps you excited. Greatness needs excitement. It needs some energy, and it needs to go towards something you want. So finding that excitement will help you figure out what you want. Because some people say, I don't know what I want. I don't know what I'm good at. I hear that. I don't know what I'm good at. Find your excitement. Where is it? And sometimes it does require a bit of searching and checking. What topics would you love to talk about all the time? Find your excitement wherever. That's a tip number 2 that's helped me sift through distraction. Because again, shiny objects, notice is that excitement for a little time. But what keeps you sustained? If I look at your last 5 years, what just kept you excited? The same topic. Yes. What is it? Or something you were doing. What is it? And the third one is use your mind to design the future. So use your mind to intentionally work on where you want to go, because greatness needs a great vision. Greatness will come when you've got a huge dream, got a big vision. So excitement is good. It could start you on the path. Use your mind to start to put the details of what that vision, go big, describe it, write it, paint it, talk about it. Just do it in a whatever expression, but keep always your eye on that vision. So if you know you're enough, anything enough, no dream is too big for you. You've got it all. That's the big one that allows us to just then start to think, okay, so what excites me? Figure out all the things that excite you. And if you're looking at a legacy, I'm hoping that means you're onto something already, or something has got a big vision, big dream. Start painting it. Even treat it like a nice play exercise. Don't get too serious about it, because once you start to get serious, say, oh, this is not possible. What am I here? Play with it a bit. Get creative, artistic, do whatever you want with it, but start drawing it out. And greatness will start to find you, because it needs to see that you're searching for it.
Yeah, great answers. I have asked that question at the end of every episode, and you gave answers nobody's given. So I love that. I love hearing that. Okay, last question, Irene. What would be a call to action that you would share to the listeners today to implement this week? Let's just say when it comes to something that may have been a setback in their life, what's one thing that they can do this week to move themselves forward?
One thing would be, it's actually something it's coming to me now that we had a chat before, me and you before, and you said something about what if the setback was actually essential? And after our chat, that set me to actually, oh gosh, setback is not just part of my journey. It's actually essential. So if there's one thing to start looking at this week, is if you could reframe, just start looking at it, see even how that causes inside your body a contraction, or oh, maybe that gives you space. That's a great sign to start playing with that. Even question, what if my divorce, my house gone, my financial loss, was essential for my legacy? What does that mean? What is essential there that I'm avoiding to look at? It's a deep question, because it will take a week and longer. But if you even keep it in your mind, what's essential about my setback? Because that's the spark of where a thread will start to connect it to the work that you're doing now, or how you actually can feel fulfilled. Even if what was essential still keeps you angry now. Even if it still keeps you angry now, if it triggers you now still, that's a key. A trigger, whether that's anger, fulfillment, joy, something that causes a big expression in you, whether it's good or bad, is an indication. Because if you look back and you think that setback gives you pride, I'm proud I've got it, then that's a key. That it was essential to reach there. If it still has a bad taste, because obviously it's not something you like, then there's something there for you still to integrate, to come to terms with. And so what's essential about it made me start looking at setbacks from another lens as well. That's not just a step, it's the base of maybe where my legacy of peace, power, and prosperity.
Oh my gosh, I love that. What a great note to end on. And thank you for that. I'm experiencing some personal setbacks right now. So, just that advice of what to do this week, I'm going to take and apply. And so, thank you so much. Thanks for being here today, Irene, and just being so open and honest with your story. And just really grateful for you. You're a blessing, and you living your legacy is impacting thousands of people. And so, I hope that you can be proud of that. And I'm just really grateful we met. And thank you for being on the episode today.
Thank you so much, Kelly. I'm actually really pleased and honored and really blessed to be with you on this podcast and actually our connection since before. Thanks for having me. And I hope your audience will enjoy the session and all the best with everything that you're doing in your life. You're blessing so many other women and people around the world.
Oh, thanks, Irene. Appreciate you. Oh my gosh. I just love Irene and her story and just her message around how we can take setbacks and move through it to create something magical. And I really love her example of what she's done and how she's shown up in her life. And listening to her story, like, wow, not an easy thing to go through, losing access to your son, and just the power she has and resiliency. And what a mindset to still have hope and belief and to be getting ready still after all these years to have an amazing relationship with her son. And I applaud her and I put that out there. That reunion is going to happen and it's going to be worth the wait. And so, Irene, thanks for coming on today and just sharing your message and really just talking about how we take setbacks and turn them into our legacy. I think that's such a powerful message. And so if you enjoyed Irene's episode today, I encourage you may want to check out a previous episode 40 with my new buddy and friend, Andy Anderson, really just talking about how to triumph over adversity and overcome failure. He had been a millionaire, lost it all and rebuilt it. And he just has a lot of great wisdom and nuggets to share around yourself and your belief and your mindset and business as well to continue to just overcome adversity. And then next week, tune in again next week. Really looking forward to next week. Just been having like the best guests and everybody with just such unique messages and stories. And next week, we're going to have Donna DuPont on. And she is going to be coming on. She's wicked smart. She's just so smart. And so we're going to be talking with Donna around leadership and how to lead through uncertainty, both individually and organizationally, especially as change is occurring. And just really excited to talk to her about this around how to deal with uncertainty when it comes to trends, when it comes to jobs, when it comes to business, when it comes to AI, when it comes to whenever we're in leadership and uncertainty is happening, how do we step into our greatness as a leader? And so we're going to be talking about that, but in really practical ways. Okay. And so that's going to be next episode. So just thanks for continuing to tune in. I love it. If you've listened to this far, that's amazing. And just with love, greatness, and success, it's your host, Kelly Beveridge.